All right, welcome back to FatChat. Now, I have got an absolute rigodontist, so the specimen, the utility. He can do anything. He plays back, he plays forward, he just does it all. We know each other from back in Perth. He used to play for the Fremantle Dockers. He's now over here playing for North Melbourne and absolutely chopping it up. We saw your game on the weekend, killed it. Please welcome Griffin Logue.
Thank you, mate. Thanks for having me. Pleasure to be here.
Mate, so excited to have you in because, you've had such a great little patch of football like the last 12 months in terms of like your development and how much you've improved and doing the switch over to North, and I can't wait to get into everything and hear all about it, of everything about your career so far. So how's it been anyway? Good, just in general?
Yeah, good, mate. Good? The big smoke, obviously. It's chatting about it before in the car, but it's a big move, obviously, coming from Perth to over here. It's plenty happening as always. There's always something happening. Almost too much is happening.
Yeah, totally.
Especially throughout the nightlife, as we've touched on. But no, it's been wicked, mate. It's been something different and a little adventure at the moment, and plenty more years to come doing it.
That's good. So I had you for one body magic sesh, one down the beach, one time.
There was one, yeah.
At Leighton Beach.
Just a single.
I had to come all the way down to you because you used to live on Leighton Beach in an apartment. They had to literally come to your front door just about, get you out to go into the sesh.
Crushed it as well,
absolutely
mate.
Crushed it. No, it was good. It was good as. And at Leighton Beach there, you're living with Tabs, eh?
Yeah, the big duck, yeah.
Yeah, how was that?
Funny. It was wicked, yeah. It was funny. For all that don't know, he's a very funny and weird man, but live with him.
He's got some very particular things he does, doesn't he? I've heard.
Very, very meticulous in preparation, cooking, cleaning, anything like that. But in terms of keeping things tidy, it's the complete opposite. His whole life seems to be in disarray, but he's a very, very, very good close mate of mine. And
that's good.
Had him, in an apartment in Swanbourne for a bit, and then made the move to Leighton Beach and Paradise there. It's so
nice down that bit. You got the little orange box cafe, beautiful.
It's up there with probably the nicest kind of beach in the world, I reckon.
I reckon it is. It's been around.
It's got, for what you get out of it, like it's probably a bit busy now, but as you said, the cafes around, beautiful. Yeah,
so good. Have you got any stories of Tab when you're living with him?
Probably just FIFA battles.
FIFA battles,
it got real heated. It started just like play a game, loser buys the other a coffee, escalated to lunch, escalated to double or nothing lunches.
Yeah.
At one stage, I think I owed him 14 lunches.
Oh, so you were no good.
So there was 2 weeks worth of lunches, and then the punter that we just went, double or nothing, mate.
Yeah, great. Again. Just kept going.
So we right at this big
chase the losses.
And ended up just being monopoly money in the end. But a few the poor old cars down below us would have seen a few flying controllers coming out the window.
Have you actually did something out the window?
He's picked one out the window before, so he's a few broken controllers. He actually owes me two PS5 controllers.
So Tabs, if you're listening to this, get these controllers back over Melbourne, mate.
But plenty more happening. But
that's awesome.
It was one of the
fun. Well, I reached out to some mutual friends of ours, and just to get any stories to bring up with Griff. And I'll be honest, for one of them, I'd sent the text out. I have never received a faster it must have been 10 seconds, and he sent 5 things through, and they kept coming and coming and coming. So anyway, first one I've got. So there's a rumor around that you've got a new partner. You got a new girlfriend at the moment.
Do have a new missus? Yeah.
Amazing. How's it going? Going well?
Good. Going well.
I heard about a story like early on. You're trying to make a good impression, I think, and you're living with Darcy Tucker, right?
Yeah.
And did she go on over early days? And was there a little present from Darcy Tucker's dog on the floor or something?
Yeah. trying to make a good impression. Walk in, and he's like, love Darcy, love his partner as well, Ellie. They're lovely to live with, but there's 2 dogs they live with. One's great, a Labradoodle. It's one of those big ones,
big dog,
big hairy one, like a nice looking thing. The other one is this joke of a dog, Italian Greyhound. It's called Lonzo. It's like bite size. It's just got these weird mannerisms. Rules the roost, like runs the whole household.
Yeah.
And since moving in, has just played mind games with me. Whether it's like pissing on my bed, pissing throughout the house, staring at me and then this one was the straw that broke the camel's back, and just decided to leave a little bite-sized dump out the front of my bedroom door. So stepped in it, walked in it, like looked around, smelt it, and just gone like,
no.
I literally just like looked and went, oh fuck this, let's just go. I was so
So
defeated.
Did you just leave it? You just left
defeated.
it all?
I left it like piffed my shoes at the front of the door, just like left them, put on a new pair of shoes, left the shit there. and
just went, I'm out.
Got in an Uber and went back out.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm not dealing with this. Like, I just was so defeated.
Oh, that's so. Yeah, how's that going with the dog training then? Is he like you're sorted out a little bit?
It's just with me for some reason.
Right.
So
it's just a little personal vendetta it's got for you.
Seriously intelligent dog, and it's just to the point where it's like
you guys are on the same level with stuff.
It's like ruining my life. It's just horrible. But they are good now. It's getting better, but just freaky dog.
That's good.
Greyhound, they're just weird.
I've also heard that like apparently at training you rarely have a footballing hand. It would either be a soccer ball or a basketball. Apparently you never used to touch a footy down Freo. That's what I hear.
Freo days would have been the old used to bust out the. You used to get told to play with the basketball to train with it. So that I could judge the bounce a bit better, so that I wasn't trailing in, so to speak, on my forward opponents. So that was early days with the great Ross Lyon. So.
And that's what he told you to do?
Well, he used to...
As in that was just a spray that he gave to
you? There was a couple sessions where it happened to be, dragged me into the middle of the ground in like the centre circle. So in front of everyone, while everyone's doing their normal training, and I was kind of taken off on my own. And he'd throw a basketball down in front of someone, and then they'd choose a direction to go, so that they'd know which direction, they know which way it's going to bounce. I wouldn't know which direction they're going to go, and it's just some form of training technique to stop me from being so far away from my opponent.
Gotcha.
I used to just let them.
So we do this in front of everyone.
In front of everyone. Oh. I think Toby Watson was the other, and Tay Dooman got dragged into it, but they were just sitting there as like the bait for me to kind of tackle.
Go which way? Yeah, right.
Yeah, it was supposedly an old Stephen Silvani drill, but it just happened to be me. It was just there's a funny pic out there. There's a photo. You'll probably be able to find it. I'll send it to you. It's just him holding the basketball and me sitting like this. Like,
where's it going to go? Going
in the middle of the ground, like wearing this yellow bib and just looking back. It's just, I guess it helped. I don't know if it helped, but it was funny at the time. Boys didn't let me forget about it.
I met you downstairs. I said, "Yep, we got a little car park," and I jumped into the car. Nice brand new car, hey? Apparently, there's a story. Apparently, there's a story about how you came to buy this brand new car.
Oh. Really?
Not really? Okay, damn. I thought that was going to be a winner one. Damn. And you had your own podcast with Dave Mundy as well at Freo.
Yep.
You got any interest in doing another podcast at some point at North? Or?
I think it's in the works, hopefully. But,
so does like Freo technically, like, do they own that one? Could you still do that with Dave?
They own all the rights to it, yeah. Mm-hmm. And because, they did all the marketing and it was a perfect setup. Well, you know how much work goes into a podcast.
So much. You could just sit there, do the thing, walk out.
But Dave and I, we would go in. The studio was at the club.
Yeah.
It was like a real nice soundproof, everything like television studio, kind of perfect setup. We'd go in. We'd have our editor, Brett, would come in. The producer would sort everything out. We'd come in with our own content. He'd set up some few questions for us.
And then bang, just hit it out.
And then we'd walk in, walk out. It'd get released 2 days later.
So good.
And he just nailed it. So
that's awesome.
That's probably the best way. If I was going to do it, I'd do it
you
like that
You
again.
have to have the setup like
I'd
that.
do it like that again because
it's the editing and like even if you like the problem with the podcast stuff is like an hour long episode, 45 to an hour long episode. If you want to edit it, you got to listen to the whole thing. So it's like,
I know how much work it'd be, like 6 hours minimum.
It is to do one, yeah, exactly.
Cut it up and stuff, but probably not for a while. Yeah. I think maybe we'll see how we go.
Nice. So let's talk about you. Let's go like right back to where your football journey started. So you grew up in Perth. Tell me about you growing up because you come from like a real big sporting athletic family. It was your uncle Andrew Vlahoff, a Perth Wildcats legend, and then your grandparents were like star track athletes as well, weren't they?
Done your research, well done. Yeah. So my mum's parents, grandma and granddad, Orpa and Ormo, we call them, Latvian Croatian heritage. Mm-hmm. Granddad was a state discus champion in WA for 20 years or so. He's big, burly, 6'5", massive kind of bloke.
Awesome.
Never, he passed away before I met him, but that's what I got told anyway. And grandma is still around, Orma, I call her. She's Latvian. Yeah. She was one of the Commonwealth Games for long jump.
Wow.
Yeah, so I think she finished 4th or did really well or something like that. And as you touched on, Andrew, the son is my uncle, so pretty handy basketball.
Just in the genes, hey?
Yeah, handy basketball. Mum was a great athlete as well.
So that's your mum's side, Andrew's on that side as well?
Mum and the whole family, they were just, track athletes.
Freak athletes.
Good basketballers and stuff. And Dad was my old man was just a rower back in the day and pretty handy as well. I think Mum and him met at the AIS, Institute of Sports, over
Wow.
in Canberra, and blossomed from there. So
Wow.
pretty good. Pretty good pedigree for.
So who kind of thinks they're the best athlete in the family? Surely that's who, like, who's the GOAT?
I think Dad does. He just touches on the rowing background from days and working so hard. So probably the old man. Yeah.
Yeah, nice. And then growing up, do you have brothers and sisters?
Yeah,
When did you get into football? Who got you into football? Were you playing other sports?
I was playing plenty of other sports. So basketball was the main one, and that's. I think each year we'd go kind of 1 year basketball, 1 year footy, 1 year basketball, 1 year footy. So
which heaps of people do for like that, like 10 to 15 years old kind of thing.
Yeah, definitely. I had an older brother who's 18 months older than me, and a younger sister, 18 months either side of us.
Yep.
But I think probably owed all to me brother, kind of pushing me along, just wanting to compete and be better than him. Your older brother, and you always got an older brother. They're always
competitive. Yeah,
they're always better than you because
it is the most probably one of the most common themes I find for anybody that I chat to.
100%.
That they've got an older brother that gave them a bit of a beat down all throughout your childhood, which made you better.
Like, still does. There's two main people I'm scared of in life would be of who's going to beat me up would be my older brother or my old man. Not that my old man beat me up.
Yeah.
None of them beat me up.
But in a competitive way.
Just in a competitive way. We'd always like my brother would beat me up, but nothing too bad. But I guess so. It was year of footy, year of basketball, year of footy, year of basketball.
Yep.
Footy was never really on the cards for me. Like, didn't love it as much as I love my basketball.
Yep.
Only really did it just to get around my mates and stuff.
Yep.
And
then what sort of level basketball were you playing for juniors?
I played like
the wobble level.
Played wobble at Kalamunda Eastern Suns. Up there.
Kalamunda, right.
There. When I was year 7, played like a state team and went to Darwin for like some state trip, and so I was like pretty handy at it and really enjoyed it. But then got to high school at Guildford Grammar, which is where great school, loved it, loved every moment of that there. And you have the choice in summer between your summer sport and then your winter sports. Your winter sports like rugby, footy, hockey.
Yep.
So footy was my winter sport, and then got to the summer sport. And initially I was going to choose basketball, but Dad, being the rowing background, just said, I'll try something new and try the rowing out. And then just kind of really enjoyed that throughout the whole schooling. Like my pre-seasons for footy would just consist of rowing because I'd just be doing all this fitness work and never really gave football too much of a thought. And all the kind of the Colts levels and stuff was kind of always rowing through that summer, so I never really trained for it, and then would come and try and play. And then I guess had like a good year of rowing where we went and did like a state trip over in Sydney for it.
Yep.
Just my first in year 12, and then really enjoyed it and said, I reckon I'll really like to continue this kind of post school, get exams done and stuff, and worry about it after that. But then winter came along and just had a really good footy year for the school, and we won the cup for the first time in 57 years or something for the school, and it just
Are they part of like the PSA?
Yeah,
schools?
part of the PSA. So it was the first time Guildford won in 57 years, and it was like
big deal.
This is,
and that's kind of like where you really found the love and enjoyment
for it. Yeah, I mean, it was playing with like all my mates, like, and it was just so fun. So then from there, went straight into Swan Districts, and then the rest is kind of history. But
yeah, great.
That was school footy was like the best. We had Jeff Valentine as coach, who coaches Peel's head coach now, and played alongside like Zachy Fisher from Carlton. So it's just wicked kind of Toby Watson as well. Like there's plenty of boys to name, but it was just real fun kind of year of footy for sure.
That's awesome. And did you do any athletics as well at some point?
I did like little aths through like juniors and stuff. I was doing athletics at school.
Yep. But nothing like super high level?
Nothing like state level or anything.
Because you're a gun runner. We'll get into that a little bit later on with like all your performance stuff. But like you take out all the the top 1K time trials usually for your team.
Smoke the boys back at
Smoke the boys.
Left him in me dust. I think Brayshaw was the only one that actually picked me on time. But we ran in like separate. It was like separate years or something. But I was good at the hurdles actually in high school. That's what I really liked. And it was the red hot soaring favourite into the final open event of the year. So I'd never won an open event in inter-school athletics in the PSA. Red hot favourite.
Yes.
3 hurdles over.
Oh,
bang.
No. Oh no.
Bang. Clip just absolutely ate it. Like,
he's going full footy mode, just fending off each one.
It's at the old Perry Lakes Centre. Like grandma's there. Like obviously had a bit of history there, and she's Mum was telling, she's like, watch me fall over, and I've just like ate it, like quickly got back up, come dead last.
Oh, no.
And Grandma was sitting there crying, and I was just like, oh, I'm so sorry.
Oh,
I was like,
no.
oh, you're kidding? Because I was like,
all the hype and all
the bloke that won, I'd beat the week before in like a thing, and it was actually one of the biggest things that I've.
And I heard it was one of those things when you miss one,
you're done.
Like you
That's
just can't
why I
get
did
it
because I knew I wasn't going to be quick enough to really win like 100 meter. Like some people just
smoke it. Yeah.
So I reckon if I just nailed the technique, I should be sweet. But just that, one little split second, it was one of the worst beats. Yeah,
that big toe of yours, clip,
massive toe. It makes sense. All the years growing up, the amount of times I stubbed my toe growing up.
Yeah.
It's all
got in the way.
It's paid off. So.
And then how did the draft experience go for you? So that was 2016.
Yeah.
Pick number 8. How did that all come about? And it sounds like it was sort of like everything happened relatively quickly, like
definitely
high school.
I'd say
into
so.
that.
I mean, footy wasn't really like, as I said, wasn't really on the cards. I think when I was year 12, I saw at the time Jesse Glass-McCasker from he played at Guildford and Swan Districts, and he got drafted in the rookie draft, and I was like, yeah, okay.
Pretty good.
I was like, well, if he can get picked up, like maybe like I could be a good chance then, like kind of looking around. But it was at the same time, I wasn't really focused on it. I was kind of just enjoying school and rowing and footy at the time. But post that, winning the Guildford game, just as I get into the Swan Districts and stuff, and then started playing a bit of league footy through Swannies, and I guess that kind of accelerated that process, and it all started getting real when got invited to like the National Draft Combine, got invited, then you start getting all the, looking back, like I reckon everyone that's been drafted remembers the whole year because it's such an exciting year, and you're getting like calls from different teams, and you're catching up with all these different recruiting managers, and everyone's like, they come to your house or you meet them over there.
Super exciting.
It's just, it's a crazy whole scenario. And it happened in a whirlwind. As you said, it did happen real quick, but I just had a real good draft combine where it kind of accelerated me right up to the board, and for some reason that's what a lot of clubs look at, and ended up going top 10 in the draft, which is I was never kind of probably didn't deserve even now. Looking back, and there's so many great players out there.
Who else was in that draft, 2016?
What are we talking? Like Andy McGrath, Tim Torano.
Yep.
Tim English.
Yep. Guns.
Like Pal Pepper, Zachy Fisher, Shea Bolton.
Yeah. Some stars.
List goes on. Yeah. Like there's heaps. There's some like, well, then I got drafted with like Lukey Ryan, Coxie and Sean and Tay Durman all in the same group. So it was a great group. But yeah, as you said, it happened real quick, and it is a bit of a whirlwind, especially when you're 18 or 17, 18. But
were you a forward or a back at that point, or what did you get drafted
as? Yeah, mostly back.
Yep. And then early days Fremantle, you're walking on in. There's this new group that ends up being very successful, having you, Luke Ryan, Sean, Coxie, that sort of went all the way through. What was it like early days rolling on in? Because there would have been guns because you're playing with Fife and some of these other like icons. What was that like? And Ross was the coach too.
Ross was the coach. Yeah.
The amount of Ross stories I've had on this trip, talking to everyone's been fucking awesome. Yeah. So there you go.
he's obviously pretty well known coach, and but getting in, like, it was wicked. My first 2 weeks moved straight in with Nat Fife, and I was on a probation period with him for 2 weeks. He said, "See how you go after 2 weeks,"
and then to see if
you go after 2 weeks, and if you piss me off,
you're out.
If you piss me off, you're done, like kind of thing. And lucky enough, kind of passed the probation period, and 2 weeks turned to 2 months, and then blink 2 years later down the track, and just live with him for 2 years. So learn off the best. I mean, walk in and get to live with the captain of a footy club.
Pretty awesome.
Ended up being a dual Brownlow medalist. Like, it's looking back, it's something that I'll never take for granted. And even the players that you touched on, like, walking in and seeing Dave Mundy, Stephen Hill, Aaron Sandilands, like Ballantyne, Sonny Walters still. Like, there's so many great players. And I wasn't like a massive Freo fan growing up.
But it's just like
if you grow up in WA, you know like who the great players are. Yeah. And it was eye-opening for sure. And we started at the Freo facility, which is just in South Freo.
Pull that a little bit closer.
Just in the Freo facility in South Freo. And then after 3 months, we went straight to the new Coburn Arc facility,
which was state of the art. Yeah.
Yeah, like it was, and it was great. Like walking in and getting to start fresh in a whole new facility with a bunch of guys that are barely new, and the whole footy like draft experience and playing footy is just so flattering like that I get to, and it's a privilege to be a part of, and I'll never take it for granted. Looking back, it's some of the greatest kind of opportunities I've had in life for sure.
Yeah, definitely. And then was there anyone that you're trying to impress first day? Obviously you would Nat, so you're on, best behaviour with your being at home and everything
best behaviour
else.
with being at home, like, you know, it's all about elite preparation. And I think at the time, I almost say like I was brainwashed a bit, and just like everything he does is like, it's going to turn to gold. And then I have to like, really stress out about that. And, but you still kind of, the small things you learn, just like whether it's a lot of mindfulness that he was ahead of the curb with, anything just to be elite. Like that's just, he was striving for greatness, and you can see what he was doing. But I guess you don't really like trying to impress anyone. You try and
just do your best.
It's cliche, but you just want to earn respect from because you come in bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, and me as well. I'm a bit of a smart-ass, so don't want to rub the boys up the wrong way. Like especially the older cats that wouldn't really want to piss off too much. But find your way through there. And I think early days you just hang out with the boys in your draft year. So close to Shawnee, Coxie, Lukey, like Tay Dooman as well at the time. And there's plenty of boys that we all just kind of get along with and you click with. And then as the season goes on, I mean, when you hang out with 40 blokes all for that long, every day at work, we call it work, but you end up being close to them. It's always going to happen. So
absolutely.
Yeah.
And how'd you get your first game? How did that come about? And what was sort of that first year like for you with starting to get a few games?
Yeah, so it was round 3 against the Western Bulldogs. It was a Len Hall tribute match. It was like around the Anzac time, which is a massive game on the calendar for Freo. And just played 2 games of waffle. Didn't really play like too well. I don't reckon, looking back, like there's other blokes that were definitely ahead of me in the key defender role as what I was going to be playing. Like at the time, I reckon Sam Collins was way ahead of me, and they kind of gifted a game early, as sometimes you'd get gifted, and took it with both hands, I guess, and got the win. And I still remember it was such a great game. Like the Freo gave me like a box to give out to my family and friends, like and put like 30 or 20 of my mates in there, like a few old coaches and stuff. Like family were all sitting separate as well, so it was just
amazing.
The whole situation was wicked, and I'll never forget it. And then he comes crashing down fast. I mean, 4 weeks later, dropped for the first time, and then so suddenly this whole footy roller coaster begins. So, but still looking back, like that first year was just such a whirlwind, and seems ages ago now, which is six years ago. But it's great to be a part of it.
Yeah, absolutely. Is there any games for Fremantle that really stand out for you that you're just like, that was my real breakout moment? Or if you're showing the kids one day, you go, look at this one. This is Dad's best game.
I'm still waiting for a breakout moment, to be honest. Everyone always says, this is his breakout game. I'm sitting there waiting, like, I wonder when mine is. A bit like that. But my biggest claim to fame, I reckon, was the the JLT or the NAB Cup early game. So I got subbed on like late in the third quarter or something for one of them in my first year. I had the big hair, just looking back, I looked like an idiot.
I remember the big hair.
I can't believe I was rocking that for so long, for years. My biggest claim to fame was I kicked the super goal in one of those games. I went through.
Beautiful. Outside 50, big launch.
Would love to say that I was trying to kick it, but it was like, got a 1-2.
And he just heaved it.
I remember I saw it somewhere. I picked up a ground ball, gave the hands off to Fife. He shoveled off this little pass to me, and then I've just gone to try and centre it to Stephen Hill deep, and just sailed through, and I couldn't even do that now. It's just one of those ones.
It
just come off sweet as, and I was like, fuck.
That's so good.
That's a good breakout. Take that.
And Ross was your coach. You must have some good Ross stories. You said the one before, obviously, with the basketball. Were you on the receiving end of any sprays? Is there any cracker stories that he told? Anything like that?
Probably the first. As I said, when it comes crashing down quick, the first time I got dropped was probably first, pretty eye-opening experience. I think what had happened. I mean, we played one game against Doggies, played another against Melbourne, then we played North actually, as I was playing forward then already, and then switched to full back against Josh Kennedy against the Eagles, and this is 2017. Like Eagles are rocking.
Are up there, yeah.
Josh Kennedy's in his prime. Yeah, kicked like 6 of I think he kicked 6 goals or something, and I was on the receiving end of. I was probably the fault of 7 of them.
You saw him held close.
I had the front row tickets, don't worry. I remember post-game, I was kind of just doing my boots up, or undoing my boots. Like, foot was starting to cramp. Like, post-game, I'm undoing my boots, and Ross is giving a talk at the front. And he just fully stopped talking. He was just staring at me, and I just kept doing with boots, trying to undo and get him off. Like, my foot's cramping. I was like, I got to get these things off. And he just went everything went dead quiet. And I was like, just looked up, and he's just staring straight at me and just went, you'd want to be listening, son. I just went, oh, no. 18 years old, played 4 games.
Just shitting
and
yourself.
He's one of those blokes that come in and just owns the room, like real like just presence where it's like we'll be at a press conference and just run it. Like
I think
you imagine what it's like after a game, after a loss, when he's just got that aura about him of like this.
You'd be freaking out. Yeah,
no, it's just you'd want to be listening. I just went,
no.
That's it. Like there's plenty like
I think Brandon told a story similar to that. That he got a cramp in his foot, and he was doing did the same thing. He did the shoe. He goes, "Oh, you're cramping in your foot." You think, well, you see David Green doing this. You're not listening. Like,
there's just so many years. He lived in he had some funny sayings. I'm looking back at it now, but it's funny now looking at it.
Of course, at the time you're like, why the fuck is this guy yelling at me?
18, 19, like. One of his best things, I reckon, he said to me, he was like in the exit meeting, and he just, in my first year, he just went, "Mate, your good's good, but your bad, it's just fucking ugly." I was like, 18 years old, I was like, sit up, like, what? Thanks, everyone. Thanks, everyone, for a meeting.
Yeah, like, I'll see you next year.
Next year. I was like, fuck. Like, what do you do?
It just really brings you back down.
You got nothing. Yeah.
Oh, it's so
went
funny.
Back away and enjoyed me off season, but yeah.
Throughout your time at Freo, you were forward, you were back, you were sort of mixed out a little bit, and jumping in all sorts of different positions. What was that like for you? With like trying to your start of your career, trying to get some consistency with your game, find your spot, work on your craft, all that sort of thing. What was that like when you were constantly getting chopped here and chopped there?
Yeah, so it didn't really get. I said I got moved like forward for half a game in my third game or something.
Yep.
And then until then, I was just back and played back the whole time until pretty much last year, where it was we're playing Melbourne. Playing Melbourne here.
I was here. It was the Body Magic Cup.
Right. Yeah, that's the one. That's right. It's Jacko and stuff. And I got moved. I'm in the middle of the week. JL pulled me aside and said, "Mate, we want you to go and play on Stephen May. Try and take him out of it, or just follow him around, playing back shoulders you would have forward, and just don't let him intercept." And I'm like,
because he was a star then. He was just chopping off.
Still is like one of the.
But at that time, he was like that was like elite form for him.
They'd won. They'd won 12 in a row, including grand final from last year, and they were rolling. So like when you got such a good defender like he is, put in a team like that where there's pressure on the ball, he's gonna dominate. Him and Lever as well. But so I got told, go and play on him, and senior coach asked you to do whatever. You just 100%. I mean, happy to be out there, happy to be playing. And I thought I was playing all right anyway down back, and but
because he went off that game.
Yeah, like 5 minutes in, he got KO'd.
Yeah.
Which wasn't like I didn't do it or anything like that, but wish I was kind of responsible for it. I feel like I did something. But, so then I thought like I'd just be moved back forward, back to the back line after that. But then we just kind of ended up playing all right, I guess. And
you kicked some goals. Wasn't there one that was that the game that it was sort of like a crucial goal at the end? You ran into the goal square. Was that game? Was that another week?
Maybe another one. Yeah.
Yeah.
I had a shot on goal, missed it. Easy goal as well.
It was a set shot, wasn't it?
Set shot.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah.
Don't worry, mate. Me too. But we ended up winning, and I guess it looked like that worked. That whole playing forward, and
were you happy with that, or is it you like you said you were just more happy just to be in the team and just being on the?
Well, I think the start of that year, I guess we moved forward pretty quick, didn't we? But the start of the year, I was in and out of the team, and played a couple games, got dropped for a couple, and thought I'd been playing like all right. But I guess it's just how footy works. Sometimes you fall out of favour, and we had a pretty good back line that was
super strong.
Really going well.
Alex Pearce,
Coxie, Lukey, Chappie, Youngie, Geordie Clark, and Brandon Walker. And then so it was just kind of me that was on the outer there, and there's plenty others like kind of there, and there's plenty on the outer now. Like even like you look at like Joel Hamling, Nath Wilson,
they're
such
guns.
Wicked players, and then just getting squeezed out through the fact that they're so strong down back now, and even like Freo rolling now, they're going really well, especially down back. So, so I was in and out, and then at that side, like I was more than happy to. Everyone loves to play forward, so I was never going to say no to that. And
of course, snags.
not many for me, but I was just in there just to make a contest pretty much. Like, just don't get outmarked is all I got told. So rather than go for marks, try and tap it down to somewhere predictable. And
was it frustrating that because like, I've got so many memories of you playing really, really well down back, like because I think there was games against like Buddy Franklin that you did really, really well on Buddy Franklin, wasn't it?
Yeah,
there was one game.
It was one that I reckon was like one of the best games of my life, and then look up on the scoreboard and he's kicked 6. It just
but
it was one of those weird ones. But there's been a few good matchups like that. But I played like I came in late for Alex Pearce once. Yeah, he had a sore ankle and found out I was playing 2 minutes before they bounced down, and we played against the Giants, and it was a close game. And then played really well and felt like I was back into my spot. Got like coaches' votes and stuff. So I was like,
killing it.
I was like, a week's a long time in footy. Like, I'm back now. Like, this is good. Like, get interviewed by Fox Footy after the game and just thinking it's like, how good's this? And then following week just dropped for it, and I was like, far out. Like, fuck. So I guess that's like, it's probably where you start the segue into the move to North, I guess. I mean,
that's right.
Once that kind of starts happening, it's never something you expect to happen nor want to happen, but
because you really like playing at Fremantle. That's the other thing. Yeah, you love being at Freo.
Perth boy and through and through. But I guess when that happens, like, there's not much you can really do if you can't find a spot in the team and you feel like you're not as valued and just getting thrown around. Like, my biggest fear was that. And the other thing is, like, that part of like the career that you're at right now, it's like you're moving into like your prime stuff as well. Yeah. So it's like you've done all the sort of, the being moved around and done all the grind parts. This is your time to really like make an impact. There's a few, like, I was emergency for a few games, and I was like, I don't want to spend my prime like on the bench, like just watching, spectating kind of thing. And I guess, as I said, like, finding out like you're not kind of wanted here and not wanted there, and you just want to play footy. And my biggest fear, like, Freo were going really well, and my biggest fear was that I'd just be seen as like this perfect sub that could start as like a fringe player. I'll be an emergency, but I can come forward, I can come back, like pinch hit in the ruck for a bit. And my biggest fear was like something like Freo make a grand final, something, and I'm just the extra. I'm just the extra, that 24th man, 23rd man that's just on the outer kind of thing. So,
and like, for your skill and the games that you were able to play, you're not that, they're not that player. It's just that because the back line at Freo was just so deep for that for those years.
And so I guess that's just how it kind of escalated. And I mean, it's weird at that whole scenario how that plays out. Like, you miss a few games through getting admitted and stuff, and then your manager lets you know, like, there's been a few clubs kind of asking about you.
So how did that conversation come up? Was it actually that other clubs approached you to start off with?
Yeah.
And then you were like, then you started thinking about it?
That's how it happens. Like, it's because it was weird at the time, and you're not getting like a game at the time, and people ask like, why isn't he getting a game? Ask your manager, and then he goes from there. And it happens. All those conversations happen kind of throughout the year, and it's a weird scenario. And looking back, like, it's still nothing that you ever want to do.
No.
And but like, looking at how it's unfolded,
playing
pretty
great,
much, like, wanted to. The year went by, and you played finals and stuff, and it was wicked. Like, that whole experience playing finals with Freo was great. And then I guess get to the end of the year, and
what point did you was there any point during the year that you're going, okay, I'm thinking, like, I'm pretty certain that I was going to go, or was it really right at the end? It was
literally like right at the end. Like, I was out of contract, so it was genuinely like right before the D-Day, so you have to go in and tell like what's going on. And it wasn't until literally like that day before where I sat down with Dad, like, for the 100th time that year, and was like, what do we reckon? Like, what do we do? Like, trust him with my life, the old man, and always someone to bounce off for advice or anything like that. So it was a massive, like, still to this day, the number one hardest decision I've ever made in my life. And
I can imagine, because like, also you've like grown up in playing for Fremantle and developed 100%. And made all these great connections.
And I guess one of the things Dad said that stuck with me was sometimes the hardest decisions you make in life are the best decisions you end up making. And I think, like, looking back now, like, that's 100% correct. Where it unfolded to finally, like, for me, that really let it go over the thing was, got a call from Clarko, and he's just been pretty much awarded the job at North, and said, look, mate, like, you're 24, 25, you've been in Perth your whole life, come over for an adventure. Like, you may as well try something new. You're never going to get this chance again to kind of strike while the iron's hot. And that was pretty much just sold me. And I just went, like, ready for a change. And
Great.
Still, as I said, like, you know,
Such a hard decision.
hard,
and
the hardest thing,
I
like
imagine
leaving,
how stressful that would have
yeah,
been.
like leaving the club that's given you a chance your whole life, and then the boys, like that's the fellas, like your best mates for the last 7 years that you just hang out with every day, as we touched on. But that was the hardest part of it, I think, like telling them and letting them know. And
definitely.
Yeah.
And you're part of the Show Me the Money show as well, hey? Yeah. So how was that? What was your TV experience
it wasn't like
that? Was it what you expected or no?
It wasn't actually like it. I think the way they did it, I haven't watched it, but I saw like a few clips for it, and the way they kind of set it up makes it look like they were following us the whole time. But we came in and just had like a chat as we're chatting now, and there was just kind of this
pretty
party
easy.
Camera just kind of.
Did you have to redo a whole bunch of stuff?
No, it was all very
pretty natural.
Yeah, it was all very organic, which made it a lot easier, and
good.
Just got to be myself. Which
because I think who else was I talking? I think Blake was telling me that he did a bit of I don't know if they ended up using his or whatever, but he was telling me, oh yeah, like, you know, his one was a phone call, and he had to pretend to do the phone call 5 times, going, oh yeah, oh no, just do that again, different angle, like.
So funny how mine was nothing like that. But I'd love to see Blake do the redo.
There's a story that I know you've told a whole bunch of times, but you were a Saints supporter growing up, and you were versing Saints early on, and you're playing back and you're playing with your idol Nick Rewalt. You got to tell this for all of my listeners, because if they haven't heard it, this is one of the old times.
Yeah,
like.
so as the old saying goes, never meet your heroes.
Never meet your heroes.
And this bloke was like looking like Saints fan growing up. I was the only Saints fan in the family aside from Dad's uncle who got me converted from a young age. Shout out, name was Ross anyway as well.
Oh, there you go.
Shout out Ross Davo. But it was through the time of like, you know, it was 2010, 2011 or whenever it was. They had the grand final repeat.
Kaczynski,
Goddard, Lenny Hayes, and my man was, and Sammy Gilbert as well, which is the reason I wear number 19 now.
Is that right?
Loved this left footer, raking left foot off half back, and just
Sam Gilbert,
loved watching him. Like, it was the best, and that's why I wore this number through footy in my school footy, and then got the choice when I came to North about
19.
There's 3, 6, 13, 15, 19 available. 19.
Please.
I love it. And they're like, really?
Well, yeah, a bit of a strange. I'm trying to think of other 19s except for
very strange.
Gilbert.
Mostly Gilbert. I think Jack Gunston at Hawthorn was 19.
Oh, yep.
But anyway, so it was round 12 or something, like my first year. He's been my favourite idol, favourite sports athlete, like everything. Like, he was just love watching him, like Saint Nick.
He's a gun, yeah.
Just got the job done always, and big presence, like big searching leads that go for 150 metres and marks it, kicks it from 50 out. And it was late in the game. It was a close game. And there was a free kick at the top of the, maybe like 40, 35, 40 out, directly in front. And I didn't see what happened, but I'd picked up the ball, and Saint Nick had walked over to me and just with his arms out, like, give it here, son. So I've just gone to throw it straight back to him, and he honestly put his hands to the side like this, watched the ball. It happens in slow-mo, like watch the ball go like this.
Oh!
Looked straight at the umpire like this, and the umpire was watching the whole thing unfold. He's probably saying in his head, like, don't do it. He's like, you idiot, Griff. Like, so I've just done that, like, watched it unfold. Membry grabs it, kicks it, like, there's 3 minutes left, is the last score of the game. And I've just lost the game. Like,
no.
And he just like looked at him, and I was just like,
you got me.
And he said to me after, he just said, veteran strict, mate, veteran strict.
Yeah.
I was like, whatever. Like, get into the post game meeting, and Ross is going like, you know, we battled well, and he just looked at me and went, Griff, you got outplayed, son. I had nothing. I was like, yeah, I know.
I did,
mate.
Fucking Nick Rewalt.
I know. I was like, yeah.
So good.
Fuck you, mate.
Yeah.
I'll never live it down. Like,
that's awesome.
4 points started to come by. So, yeah, looking back, it gets worse and worse.
So you're obviously a super talented athlete all the way through growing up. And I guess like getting into football a little bit later, was there things like early on that you had to really work on in terms of skill-wise, preparation for games, all that sort of thing? What was that like early on? What were you specifically working on?
Like early in the career before?
Yeah.
I think a lot of it was just kind of continuity. The biggest thing, it's pretty cliche, but you hear it all the time. As a young player, like, you just want consistency. That's all coaches want to see from you is consistency, like performing consistently well. So, I mean, leading up to getting drafted, you never have like a a pre-game routine. You never have something that you stick by, and I guess that was the main thing. And I got to learn under the tutors of someone like Fife. You learn that like once you stick to this routine, then you can never blame like a poor performance on a routine because you kept everything the same.
Because you know what you've done. Yep.
For me, early days was kind of nailing that, and your week to week kind of getting the body right, and getting ready, like kind of ready and more focused down closer to a game. So
yep.
I think for me it was just that, and looking back now, like I'm glad I did that and worked out what works for me, and now it's more like
just a routine.
It's just
part of your habits.
It's more so I've kind of thrown it out the window, and it's like it's not, you don't need to stress out as much. Like less is more for me now, and I can train as much as I want, but like right now with my body, like I've just got to, I know what I need to do to get it up for a game, and it's tough. Like footy is just hard on the body.
Absolutely.
And I'm only young, still 25 now, but you play a handful of games and from as many years, and it's taking a toll on your body. So
definitely
now it's all about maintenance really. Yep. And
so what are you doing for like that maintenance side of thing? Like obviously you have access to like, physios and massage and ice baths and all this sort of stuff. What do you do that is really important for your recovery?
The biggest one for me is just treatment and physio treatment. We've got access to full-time physios at the club every day, and like I'm still bewildered that even every day they're not booked out to the max. Like when I was at Freo, she had Big Marshall Stockton was the Shawnee Darcy would have plenty to say about him, but he's just the number one guy I'd go to, and he'd call it the platinum card. And he used to just throw it out, and he'd sit there and he'd just give you this
the platinum card,
an hour of treatment that was like you'd finish, you'd come off the table just feeling like
amazing.
Wow.
Yeah.
So that's what I do flat out, and I battled through last year. I had an osteitis pubis with me groins.
Did you?
Yeah. Wow. So the back end through the finals, I was kind of dealing with them, and shocking, like still dealing with them now.
Was that like out that you were doing that, or that was just like, publicly known that?
Oh, I think it's through the public just said groin pain, but it was pretty so it wasn't like a full blown one that you see. There's different varying levels of the groins are a weird part of footy, and nearly every footballer has gone through some form of overload or injuries towards their groin and the pubic symphysis,
swinging and everything, the side to
side. There's so much that like it's a 360 degree game.
Yep.
And you're running 15 Ks every week. Like you're obviously going to find something gets in trouble, but so I was kind of working through that all off season where I couldn't work out as much, couldn't run. Like we're going away when I was with Sean in America. Like he'd be up going for these runs, and I just physically couldn't. It'd be too sore, and that like you have to let it rest, and then. So I got to pre-season, and it was all about treatment and just getting them, like building this strength up with my hips and my groins. And it's something that I've never done before, like missing a whole pre-season. Normally I'm like the pre-season hero, kind of come in and don't have to train too much to stay fit, but I always like enjoyed staying fit. And but that was probably the toughest thing for me this year, coming in injured, and you want to you want
to go run a new
club. You want to meet the new coach. You want to be like, oh, mate,
super fit.
I'll show you how hard I train. Like this is what I can do, but I just couldn't do anything physically. Like body was just holding me back, and I know that with the groins, you're rushing back. Like they're just a ticking time bomb. Even now, like week by week, I've just been kind of slowly just grinding and getting through. So I guess went on a bit of a weird segue just from what I do to get up for games. But I mean. There's so many resources we've got access as footy players, and for me, number one's physio treatment, ice baths and like saunas and stuff. Like I love a sauna, like with the best of them. But mostly that, like, and just recovery and sleep. I've been looking into my sleep. And
I've been doing heaps of stuff into sleep as well lately. Hey?
I just think it's the best. Like,
it just makes everything better.
I look forward to a good sleep so much.
What are you doing? Are you doing like a little routine before bed? I've been doing the like the Calm app, so it's like a meditation app thing. So it's like visualization things or whatever. Just put your sleep, and because I usually watch TV, but like having the lights that kind of keeps you like awake a little bit. But I've been doing this. I'm out like this, and then I sleep the whole night as well.
Right.
So
good. Might have to look into it. I just went straight to the top and just got went to the doc and got a prescription for melatonin. So
and that I do too.
Save as houses. That just makes you feel drowsy and
just gets your sleep back on.
Feel like you're back on the right rhythm. But sleep's probably the main thing. Like everyone, it's pretty understated how good a sleep is. Like you produce all your best hormones when you sleep, and you naturally produce human growth hormone when you sleep. So
Helps it all.
Best way to recover.
Absolutely. And you touched on it before that, you're always rocking up pre-season, you smash the time trials, you're the first one in the group for the 1Ks, 2Ks, whatever. How are you getting, to that level? How are you the best one in that group? Are you working on anything different, or is that sort of, I'm talking like mentality as well, like when you're rocking up first day, where does that mentality and that competitive sort of side of you come from?
Wouldn't say best one, because Brayshaw did beat me in the 4-1s time wise, but so I'll take second. I'll take second.
But we're talking like top percents,
Throughout my years, I've always kind of kept fit, always been naturally fit as well. But I reckon that's like everyone will look at me and be like, "Oh mate, you don't even work out. Like you get it natural." But when it comes to like a race like that, I think that's what we touched on, like having an older brother and when you're always just competing in that competitive side. Like if I'm sitting side by side with someone, like one of the boys at a footy club, like my biggest fun was Blake. Would always he'd hate it because like I probably wouldn't train as much as him. When I trained, I'd train real hard and would empty the tank.
Yep.
But when I looked side by side to him and he's laughing, I would say, "You're not beating me. Like this is it's not happening today. Like I don't care what it takes, but I'm getting you. I'll beat you. I may not catch him, but I'm catching you.
Yeah.
Like, don't worry about that." So that kind of competitive side for me, I really enjoyed that racing nature, and you get a lot of that through rowing. Like
absolutely,
you look forward to your biggest day on the calendars.
Well, it sounds like that's just been all throughout your life, all sorts of different sports, and I'm sure growing up in such a sporting strong family, that's just like ingrained.
I think it's more so like I fucking just hate losing. And I think it's worked out well and paid off a bit with my football as a defender. Like you hate losing. If you make a mistake inside forward 50. Nearly every forward out there now is just you're gonna watch it sail over your head for the 100th time, and it's the worst feeling. Like feeling, not that I like for your ego actually getting beaten, but the worst is like feeling like I've let my teammates down and be like, I'm so sorry. Like there's a goal on the board and that's because of me. So that whole like pre-season and leading up to games, like that's just building the competition and stuff. But it was mostly just beating Blake. I just he'll never admit it as well. There was this one time, that one last year where I had a point to prove the last pre-season, and it was 4-1K. It's like first time we'd done it. And I just butchered everyone. I just went come with me if you want, because I was in like the older group. So the young group boys did it the week before. I had to go back a couple of weeks early, so got a few pointers from them. Like a few went out too early, and I just kind of stuck to my times, and then just blasted them at the end. So
great,
it was great. Yeah,
that's good. That's so nice.
It was good. Nothing better than beating the sheriff, to be honest. I'll never let him forget about it. So.
And then go into like you just touched on it as well, just then that the preparation that goes into playing on your opponents, because you're playing against the guns. Like you're playing on Lance Franklin, Kennedy, Kerner, all these guns of the competition. How much prep actually goes into you for a game personally? I know you probably have your team staff and you go, yep, cool, this is the plan for them. But like, say if you're playing on any of them, do you take notes? So you watch an extra film, all that sort of thing. What do you do?
Yeah, plenty of.
I'm sure there's heaps.
Plenty of work in the film room, but a lot of it's like you kind of know what their strengths are. Like,
Buddy, so let's say, sorry, go.
Yeah, so Buddy's like. Not that I can. Not saying I say this like I know what their strengths are, as if I can stop them, but like you're never going to be able to. I think especially in today's game, as a key back, you can't stop every goal. Like it doesn't matter how many of you's out there, you're not going to stop them. But like Buddy's going to wheel onto his left and take you on and hit someone up every day of the week. Kerno's going to run and launch, and he's going to play to his strengths.
Patterns in their game. Yeah.
Josh Kennedy it's constant movement, constant leading, and then ticks up with the ball like. Some blokes don't like to fly and just like to edge you under. Like Tomahawk will just sit there and own the space, and like that Jeremy Cameron gets up the ground and will just wheel your way back, and you'll have to stay in line with him, but he'll just want to be out the back and go through a stop. He plays like a midfielder, so he's one of the hardest to match up on. But there's plenty like that. It's more of like a challenge, and like that whole competition thing. Like I love
trying to work the person
love the challenge of it, because it's so fun. There's so many difficult ones out there to actually match up on, and but yeah, I mean, there's so much vision that you can go over, and we've got access to all these computers that go through all the games, and you go through highlights, and then you can take a coach aside, and they'll ask you to, give you a rundown of what it looks like. But at the end of the day, you just got to rock up game day and and stick to what you've done the work at least to on the film room. You're going to know what they're going to do and try and kind of work around that, because it's a forwards game now.
For sure. Yeah.
It's a key back in.
You're just there, just like you said, trying to limit the impact
every
as much as possible.
week. They just see the game like we just want more scoring. Like everyone, you don't go to the game to watch me try and punch the ball. Like you go to the game to watch someone kick goals from 50 or watch Charlie Cameron like run out the back and kick 6 goals a game. That's what you watch the game for.
Yep.
And it's what I love watching the game for as well. But it's just tough when you're tough as a key back, but it's still that's what I enjoy now. So and it's fun now.
Who's the hardest player that you've had to match up on? Is anyone that had like real big days on you?
Oh, plenty have had big days, mate.
Was there another story about, was it Buddy Franklin? You asked him for signed boots. Was there something like that? Was that you? I swear that was you. I had it in the notes because I thought I remember hearing something about that. Are you talking some trash to him or something?
Oh, I always try and talk a bit of shit just to. My theory is that like if you talk a bit of shit, but in a nice way, and just try and like in a jokey way, never actually like attack them personally or anything like that, then they're not going to like, if there is a chance for them to like to put a knee through you, if they like you too much, then they're just not going to do it. Like, I don't know so how.
You're being a dick, but just like not enough.
I'm kind of just like a smart ass and just always talking. I just enjoy it. Like when I'm out there, I'm just rather than sit behind someone like this and just constantly I just can't will myself to do that. Like it's just so.
It's not natural for you to do.
Yeah. Like I just rather sit there and chat a bit of shit to him. I think last or a couple of years ago, I said to Buddy, it was like, what size? What do you like? How are those boots going? He's like, I'm not talking to you today, mate. I was like, come on, mate. Like, what's going on? He's like, yeah, come here, come stand next to me. I'll get you on the big screen, mate. And I was like, oh, yeah, fair enough.
Get you on the big screen.
There's only so much you can really say. Someone like, I still think he's like the GOAT of all time.
Oh, he's a star.
I rate him so highly. So, but I'm more just like muck around and try and get under the skin just a little bit, make them laugh. So.
Yeah, good. And then leading up to a game, what are sort of the habits that you have leading up to a game day and the week before, with specific recovery stuff that you do, the vision? You've touched on it all, but sort of pulling it all together and actually the habitual things that you're doing. What do you do?
Yeah,
nutrition as well.
I guess as a game finishes, say we play on like a Saturday, Sunday's your rest day off. Sleep's the main thing. I struggle to sleep after a game, so I can just try and just rest, get the body moving the next day. Start of the week, like in terms of nutritionally, I'll try and load up with as much protein as I can just to build it up.
Everything.
Like a couple of big steaks or anything, just a lot of leafy greens, just kind of really start building that in.
How many days before you're really hitting that? I'm sure that's probably all the time you're trying to get in.
I'm just trying to get that in like at the start of the week, like just before a big like week of training or the game. Not too fussed on like other than that dietary things, like just eat healthy. Like I'm a notorious snacker. Like I love chocolate. Just sweet tooth.
It's also you got such a high activity level because
I'm always going to burn it off, and I think my whole life. I don't know when it's going to catch up to me. Metabolism is pretty high, so like
man, mine's the same. It's actually an inconvenience to eat. I'm like, it's an hour and a half, and I'm like, I'm starving again. I need to eat again. It's actually annoying.
Well, I'm scared it's going to catch up with me one day with it. Yeah. Like, I eat a lot of chocolate and stuff. Like, and probably shouldn't.
Yeah,
but I can, and I like the taste of it. So
why not?
I'll still eat like enough healthy food to balance it out.
Yeah, totally.
But I don't know, it doesn't really work that way. But a lot of it, 2 days before a game, that's my main. Most important day for me. I just like getting my main biggest sleep in. I'll try and because the day before a game I don't really
that's
care
usually
about
a day off for you as well, training wise and everything.
No, it's always like training 2 days before, but that 2 days prior to a game, that's when I just reckon if I get a good sleep, then I can go to bed whenever I want the night before a game, watch a movie, like it doesn't matter, then I'm going to be well rested for the game. But there's nothing set, but like if I look at it now, I always find myself new things that I'm doing that I've just been doing, as you said, habitually. So whether it's like if I'm just going to be sitting on the floor for the next 10 minutes rather than sit there, like I'll just be doing like a series of like glute stretches or hammy stretches and constantly kind of stretching and getting mobility and kind of unconsciously as I'm not really like.
Well, that's exactly what a habit is. It's just like an action that you do without thinking about doing it, and the reasons behind that are for your performance and
so like I get I get an extra 10, 20 minutes in. I feel like I'm getting more than anyone else in like a team meeting. Like we do it upstairs in like this kind of room. There's couches or you can sit on the floor, and straight away I just sit on the floor, and the other bloke that does it with me is Huey Greenwood, and we just constantly sit there kind of stretching and feel like that, kind of get a little bit extra mobility in there. Like I'm always active, kind of getting moving a couple of days before a game, whether it's walking, like get a coffee and
just get some blood
constantly
flowing.
Walking, like rather than staying like on a day off where I'll sit down and, you know, watch a few movies, watch some Netflix, eat some chocolate, and then you blink and it's 3 o'clock in the arvo and you're sorting dinner kind of thing. So pretty active throughout the week, and food-wise feel like I'm always eating healthy enough. Water's probably the biggest one that I wish I was better at drinking. Like I wish I'd...
Do you cramp up during games?
Nah, that's why like I've never felt a need to really focus on it too much.
Yep.
So not much of a cramper, like kind of just naturally get away with it. So I'm sure it'll sting me at some stage, the same as my metabolism, just getting away with it. But
that's the routine right now, and that's what's
working. And like my biggest thing is like I used to really freak out before games and stress out a lot, but there's just so much more to footy than so much more to life than footy, I think. So definitely. It used to be like your world, and you'd be like, I have to do this, and I can't, be doing this night for a game. I can't be doing this now. So now I like let it happen. And I think you've been in the system for 7 years. You kind of know what's right and what's wrong for your body at least, and what's going to help you and what's
just through experience of doing as well, isn't it?
Yeah,
to work out what your schedule is best for you.
It is hard to like come in and be 18 and be told like this is what's best for you. Like this is what you need to do. So this is what you need to do to get better. And now I just kind of feel like it works out all right. And I don't know, I'll probably play a stinker this weekend, but I've talked up my preparation that much, how much I've got it all worked out. But I just know, like, as long as I get out there and enjoy it, like
that's good. And I think that probably ties in. You touched on it just then. Is like your mentality and wellness sort of side of things, mentally preparing for a game. So you're doing all your vision, you're working out your opponents, all that sort of thing. You've got your habits and your little habitual things that you're doing. Is there anything else that you're doing to like really get your mind off the pressure of playing football? How do you deal with even like say in the middle of a game, stuff isn't going your way, your opponent's kicked a few. What do you do to kind of get yourself back feeling confident and back on track?
It is tough, like, because there's plenty of times where you feel like you're going to go through a bit of adversity, especially in a game. And I used to get real insular and freak out and just worry about myself. And it wasn't until a couple of years ago where I realised, like, if you're going poorly, like, rather than just let myself go poorly, like, just get around the boys and get real vocal, get real loud, come outside of yourself and bring someone else into the game and make them better. And you feel like you get yourself on your toes a bit better. And the other thing that I found works for me is just having my own trigger. So in the middle of a game, if like, I'm just on my back foot or I'm not feeling great, like my trigger is just on my toes. So I've got like my teammates will tell me like, Griff on your toes, Griff on your toes. So that's just like.
So is that something that you've gone, okay, cool, that's a cue for me?
Yeah.
And you've told them to go, okay, cool, if I'm feeling flat, tell me that?
Yeah, and it's more even like, even if I'm feeling good or feeling flat, it's like a reminder. Reminder, like, one, to physically actually, like, you get up on my toes, get ready to kind of pounce, but 3, like, switch on and just get ready to feel my surroundings a bit better.
Super interesting, yeah.
I like the mid-game ones, the hardest ones, because, I mean, everyone's a good player and everyone's a good teammate when we're winning, but when you're losing, like it's you turn naturally as athletes, you turn selfish and you come inside yourself and you don't talk and you just worry about your own backyard kind of thing. So that's been the main one for me, kind of just spreading it and trying to get everyone involved and but not really. It's like stressing out too much. Not really. Like one of my main things is never as good, never as bad. So like after a game, you could play a blinder and it's like never as good, but same week you can play a stinker and be like, well, it's not that bad, like still going. So that's the main thing I think for me.
Absolutely. And then your new role at North, you're loving it, obviously. We saw the game on the weekend, taking marks, spoils, tackles, you're absolutely chopping. It looks like you're really having a lot of fun down back there and playing really well with the team.
Definitely, yeah. I mean, we started the year like so awesome. We won 2 in a row, one against the old mob, which is we're going undefeated. I just looked at this and I was like, no way. Like, the amount of you boys that gave me shit for leaving, and now I've come back and beat you. Like, so it started like that, and then like we had a few poor injuries go down, and it's funnily enough, I'd been switched back to that forward ruck role where I was kind of chopping and changing there, and I thought, oh, here we go. Like, I was still like happy to do it, like a new environment. And I guess the last couple of weeks, lucky enough that gelled a bit more together, and as a backline, we're kind of really gelling. It's not really, translating into wins yet, but we know it's just going to keep ticking over, and if we can keep doing our roles back on, then we're going to keep doing that. But yeah, I've been like feeling a lot more comfortable, and
that's good.
I think it's just also like not having a full preseason, you just out of touch a bit, and I didn't get to train as much, and so now I'm finally catching up to where everyone else is.
Just getting some good momentum going,
repetitions and continuity in, it just helps a lot better.
Absolutely. So like, what's next for you for the next little patch in terms of, football? You're working on anything? Have you got any other projects or anything like that you're working on? Any businesses? You got any plans of podcasts, anything like
that? Not really. Like, it's just footy really. I'm studying part-time still, just online on at Curtin, so just doing a Bachelor of Science, hoping to maybe progress into something along the lines of physiotherapy or something like that, but it's hard to find something you're passionate really about, but so just got that. That's always in the background going on.
You find that kind of helps with all the football stuff as well, that you've got something else that you're working on? So I
think so, yeah. Like especially like, as I said, play like a stinker or footy's not going well, then you've always got something else just to switch your mind to, so that you're not footy, like in this focus on this footy bubble.
Do you reckon you do like media stuff after, or?
Don't know. Like I've got the gift of the gab, so
you do, yeah.
I'd have to be a stiff to do it, but I don't know. I love my time on radio. I always been told I got a head for radio, so I might have to stick with that. But no, I don't know. We'll see what's cooking. I'm sure something will pop up, and I'm happy to do whatever. So
that's good, man. Well, it's been such a pleasure hanging out and hearing all this great advice that you got from all throughout your career, and so glad everything's going so well at North at the moment for you. I can't wait to keep seeing you just chop up and tick along.
Thank you, mate. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
No, too good. Thanks, my friend.